Micah, age 46.
No smirk, no smile.
No.
You're going hardcore.
I'm going
on that.
deadpan.
What are you the most afraid of about yourself?
Failing.
Tell me a bit about it. Elaborate.
Just failing in life, failing at being a father, failing at being a husband, and failing at my career.
Have you always had that relationship to failure?
As probably as long as I can remember, yeah.
Anything else? This is gonna be a quick interview.
Oh, I'm afraid that my lifetime dream of writing is just a sham. I just like the idea of being a writer, but I'm not really a writer, because why can I not get this off the ground?
That I won't stop fucking around, and that I won't actually try as hard as I can, I guess. Yeah.
What do you mean by fucking around? And I ask that genuinely because from all I know, you're doing 50 things at once all the time.
Yeah, and I do, and I have moments where I try really, really hard, and then I tangle with perfectionism, and I tangle with imposter syndrome and all kinds of things, right? My curiosity will get the best of me, and I'll get close to the finish line on something, and I'll go, oh, but what's that? So that last 10% is another 100%, and I have never in my life tried as hard as I could at something.
I think I'm most afraid of not leaving the legacy to my children and family that I want to.
This is a hard question.
Good, I hope so. That's the design.
I tend to self-sabotage. I am pretty good at succeeding and reaching a point of high success, and then I tend to either, freak out, or I fall backwards, or I just stop doing the things that are working. And all of a sudden, everything that I've achieved starts to slowly go away and disappear, and now it seems like I'm back to where I started.
My tendency to put myself on the passenger seat, to not take charge of choices in my life, but just going with the stream, just wasting time. Or I'm kind of letting the world make decisions for me, and neither of those two things feel good. It's like a fear that I look back in my life and I kind of fuck, I fell into that trap. That's not. I think that's coupled with somebody who's happy just sitting and playing PlayStation the rest of the life.
Fear of not completing something or not giving something enough of my time to really be really good at that thing and successful at that thing, that I'm just kind of, I like to dabble, and then I get bored, and then I'm kind of like, okay, well, I want to try something else kind of a thing. And I think I just kind of jump out when things get too tough, and I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'll try something else.
What do you wish you could say to your 15-year-old self?
I wish that I could go back and tell that little girl that she's so awesome, she's so cool, and it gets so much better, and she should have been sleeping around a lot more. A lot more.
At 15?
Yeah, why not? Life is short. Physically, we always want to look like something else. So I try to tell myself now that, in 10 years, I'm going to wish that I looked like I just do right now, just the way that I am. So I wish that 15-year-old me knew that too, Because especially little 15-year-old girls are so hard on themselves.
I was a late bloomer, so I would definitely tell my 15-year-old self that was, 5'3", 110 pounds, that don't worry about your body and you're gonna be all right.
Be more comfortable with being odd. So I spent a lot of time in that period of time being worried about, the classic stuff like fitting in and so on. And I think most of the friends I eventually made were from people who kind of like were good with me being a little bit of an odd duck. I think I wasted some time not embracing that.
I had a horrible childhood. I was a horrible teenager. I was a horrible 15-year-old, and I got into a lot of trouble, and I was in a really rough spot. And the dean, told me, not only are you like a loser, but you're taking away from everybody else's experiences that are gonna change the world for the best. You're actually a net negative. We don't want you here. So like I was getting feedback like that from people, and I had somebody come give me advice. They basically showed me how to relax the first time ever in my life by exposing me to jazz music. I'd bring some music, because that was what it took to get through to me then. And I would play myself music and point out basically what it takes to be really good and to be a good man, to go easy on yourself, to value relaxing, to value play, to play as long as you can, for as hard as you can. And if you want that thing, then you got to show up for it every day and sacrifice the small comforts for the dream.
Don't take life so seriously. Every little mistake that you make does not define who you are, and it's okay to make mistakes, and nobody's actually paying attention as much as you think they are.
I mean, this may be arrogant, but I don't know that there's anything I want to tell them. I have any mistakes that I want to fix.
Yeah, for me, I feel like I'd want to go back and be like, you're gonna be fine. It's like, this is all like a lot of noise.
Life was pretty good when I was 15. What is that, junior year of high school or something?
Freshman.
Yeah, I mean, I was class president in high school. I was prom king. I wasn't worried about anything.
I'd tell her to dream bigger. I'd tell her that... I don't know why I got a little emotion in there. I would tell her, like, hey, what seems really big right now, or really scary right now, will actually be the thing that gives you the foundation to be better, that you're not alone, and that a lot of people go through this. I was molested as a kid, and I didn't have a lot of support. I had people who heard me, but like nobody did anything about it. So I just had to eat it, and I had to just put it under the rug and just go on with life. And now as an adult, now that I'm 36, I can finally be like, you deserve so much more than that. Like, you deserve the help and somebody to listen and to believe you and to take it seriously. And so I think that I'm healing those wounds now. I'm really sitting with the discomfort and the sadness and the and all of that. And I don't talk about it a lot, but I do have good support now, and I do have belief in myself that I'm strong. I proved that I'm strong, and that I'm capable of overcoming that, because I have overcome that, and I'm stronger, and I know myself more because of that. So I would tell her, like, hey, you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be more than okay, and you're gonna have that.
Thank you for sharing that with me.
Yeah.
What would your 25-year-old self think of you now?
A mixture of pride and some bewilderment, I think. The pride in terms of when I look at my kind of career path, I ended up doing something that's kind of not that normal, or so that's something I'd be like. I think my 25-year-old self would be. Also, my 25-year-old self was pretty self-confident, so I don't think I'd be wildly surprised. At the same time, my 25-year-old self would probably wonder at the lack of momentum in kind of my personal life, where I'm still running around being single at 49. I've never been in like a relationship that approximated anything like getting to a marriage or kids or anything like that. So I think my 25-year-old self would be a little bit like, oh, that's funny. Why are we still in the stage I'm at now? Kind of thing.
That's a rough one, because I think you'd be disappointed. Just full stop. Because when I was 25, I was still trying to make it in bands, and I made it the farthest in terms of my whole crew making music and everything. I stayed in the race the longest. I had it all. Like I sick guitar player, sick songwriter. So I think if I found out that I gave up on that, I'd be like, what do you mean? What do you mean you stopped doing that willingly? Like, what do you mean you played a giant show, got on a plane, and then never got on a stage again? Like, or multiple giant shows. What do you mean? Why, what the fuck? Like, being like, what have you become? Like, when I see myself sometimes, like, it's just like, that, who is that guy? And then on the other hand, I look at it and I look at my 25-year-old self and I'm like, you're a fucking moron. Like, you're not even alive yet, and you don't know it. Like, you don't know what you're talking about, kid.
25, I wasn't married. I was jealous of or envious of people who were married and were having kids. And so I think that person would now look at my beautiful wife and my beautiful 3 children and be like, it worked out.
She'd think she's cool as hell. Yeah, she'd think she was really cool. I started making jewelry. That was what I got into, and I knew I've always been like an artist in some way, but never had it never stuck to something long enough to really get the best I could be at it. And I'm not the best, but I'm really good. And I think she'd be like, dang, like, you live in Maui and you have your own business and you've got people who love what you make and are supportive and creative, and you get to do all these cool things and meet all these cool people. I think she'd think she's a badass. Yeah, she would think that for sure. Yeah.
You'd be pretty impressed. At 25, I think I was like many 20-somethings-year-olds that, hadn't really found their groove in a career, didn't have much money. I did have a relationship, but I was finding myself in debt. And since then, in the last 20 years, I've flipped that. I have a healthy relationship with my soulmate. I have 2 wonderful daughters. I have a career that I'm proud of, and we've manifested a beautiful gypsy lifestyle that we get kind of the best of both worlds to keep things fresh and different and new and fun. So yeah, I'm proud of where I landed.
I think my 25-year-old self would think that I'm pretty cool. I think I have the important things at the top of the priority list, and I prioritize them, and we have it pretty good. 25-year-old me wanted this life, I think. I don't think I would have done things differently. So
I think your 25-year-old self would be pretty stoked. What would you say to your father on his deathbed?
Yeah, well, my father's already passed, as you know. I didn't get a deathbed moment with him, but he had a beautiful passing in his sleep. I'm very grateful that I had nothing unsaid with my father. With some people in their relationships, they've got a lot bottled up that they never communicated with their dad, and I was lucky that my dad was great at communication, and we had a wonderful relationship. But if I did have a deathbed moment, I would tell him probably 3 things. I'd tell him that he was an amazing father, that he'll live on in our memories and his spirit, and I'll always remind his grandchildren about who he was and how much wisdom he passed on to me. And then number 3 is, of course, I love him.
Thanks, buddy.
on his deathbed, I don't have a lot to say to him. You know, I showed up to his funeral. That I felt like that was more for my family and my siblings than anything, but I didn't really have a relationship with him, so I didn't really have any words. There's no animosity there. There's no, you know, hatred or anything or anger. There's just like a nothing, like a silence, which is, I don't know, I think that says a lot. And I think, you know, before my stepdad got into the picture, my mom and me and my sisters were struggling quite a bit, and we were just moving all the time and just had no consistency. He came along and just ironed that all out, like just in his way, and changed everything. So thank you. I love him. I'm just the best person ever.
That's complicated because my father's a complicated man, and he has had a complicated relationship with everyone in his life. At some point, he has been on non-speaking terms with everyone in his life. Both of his parents were in the Holocaust. Both of them were in Auschwitz. They came out of arguably the biggest nightmare a human being can be in. And so I think there was probably psychological trauma in his household when he was a kid that probably caused much of the complication in his mind and his persona that created the problems in his relationships for the rest of his life. And so maybe on his deathbed, I would give him that comfort that all of these broken relationships were in part because of decisions you made, but in part they're probably not your fault.
Every step of the way, every moment that we have spent together has been fully cherished, and I really value the time that I've had with him, even in the times that were a struggle, even when I don't feel like he made the best choices. It wasn't because he was doing a bad job. I feel like he was doing the best that he could with what he had.
Happened within maybe within 5 years. Primarily that him and my mom did a pretty amazing job. Like, I don't think you always see that as a kid, but as you learn about other people's childhoods, you're kind of like, okay, they did pretty good. And I think I tell him that. I think I tell him because that's an advice I heard from somebody else, that I and my brother would be okay. That is actually comforting for people when they're dying to hear that the people they leave behind will be in a good place, because that's something apparently they think about. And I probably joke with him. He has a fun sense of humor.
I'm proud of you. I think that's what I would say. He doesn't give himself the kindness to feel things. He kind of just doesn't do that. So I want him to know he did a good job. That, you know, he's made me proud, and I'm glad that he's my dad.
I try to imagine it for real because I think it's a powerful question. He's a example of just love, like embodied love. His service to other people, his willingness to just serve everyone around him, like through action. Like the love that he provides people is like tectonic. It's the ground that I stand on, and I'd say, yeah, thank you. And then I guess I would ask him how he feels about death, how he feels about that moment, and what he feels is coming. I'd certainly be curious about like how he's feeling. But I guess that to remind him too that like we're the thing that hears you say I am, they hear the things you say I love you. The thing that witnesses your life, that stillness is inexhaustible. That can't die. And that is a place that resides in me too. And that from that perspective we'll never be apart.
Current life struggle or challenge?
It's a no-brainer. My back issues and my spine issues, sciatica. Knowing that I have an issue but not being able to stay away from my passions and the things I love, which end up re-injuring it and aggravating it. So that's, you know, my biggest struggle is just having the patience to like step away from snowboarding, surfing, mountain biking, wake surfing long enough to like heal and give my back a break, and or maybe a change in lifestyle if I need to.
Current life. Oh, my mother. Growing up, I always knew that my mom was a unique mother, and she did the best that she could with the cards that she was dealt. That was literally what I said to myself all the time. And I was never angry at her for being a not so good mom, not nice to my siblings. And then I had my own kids. And then I realized that that's not how a mother should love her kids. So I have to figure out a way to live with her, because she's still in our lives. She's still my daughter's grandmother, without letting it do harm to my family unit and my mental health. And I put up with it for so long. I just made excuses for her for so long. And then it took having Nico and Gia, and I was like, I would never want them to feel this way. I never want to be a burden to them. Like when they have their own kids, I want them to be excited that grandma's coming over, because I'm gonna fucking help them. She puts herself first before me, before the kids. She puts herself before everybody. And I'm like, you're not in survival mode anymore. You left Vietnam fucking 45 years ago. You're not in survival mode anymore.
I'm trying to survive with like a completely new path. So like I got wiped out around the pandemic, like financially, just completely wiped out. And I was like, yeah, what if I just do something completely new? And what if I try to survive in the most expensive place on earth with my fucking dreams? Sick, this is gonna be easy. And like, I take care of both me and Steph. So my greatest challenge is making sure that like we're secure and that we can like eat, and that we both get to spend our time in our lives doing what we love. So my biggest struggle is like being terrified and standing up and saying, fuck you, I'm doing it anyway,
I'm trying to build a business, and everybody knows building a business is not easy. I'm really working towards getting more ups, because I feel like I've been stuck in the down for quite a while now, and it's time to turn it around. And I think my struggle with it is I'm just really focusing on what's not going well instead of focusing on what is going well. They're so important to my future self for what this is going to turn into, because no matter what happens with this, no matter how long I stay in the down, I'm not going to give up on it. I'm going to keep going and pushing and learning and looking at the problems, looking at the issues as opportunities to learn. And hopefully, because I'm so in the down in the moment, it's eventually going to turn around and create a steady growth for me.
How'd that feel?
Good. It felt like some more thought came to it than I had put before, and I need to put a little bit more thought into it.
Well, I have to take ownership of it,
Okay.
of that mentality and plan.
Do you think I started out with no ownership of it, and then it
No,
got better?
I don't think I've heard you speak to it that way before.
Mhm.
Like first you're like, here you're like, this is what I'm doing, and I'm all in.
That's good.
Yeah,
I think I've felt that for a while, but maybe just haven't put it in
yeah,
verbal terms.
yeah, you should.
I should.
One regret you would change.
I think I was with my ex for way too long. He was my high school sweetheart, and I spent like 13 years with him, just waiting for him to change or to live up to his words or, what he said. And so I think I held on to that relationship for a little too long, and I didn't allow myself the grace to just be okay with not being okay. Yeah, to just feel like I was strong enough to stand on my own without him. And I wish I could get some of that back.
There's definitely one heavy regret that I carry, but I wouldn't change it. It ultimately pushed me to grow immensely. It was my biggest growth opportunity.
Do you want to disclose?
I don't know if I do.
I can tell.
But one thing that I would change is the way I treated my brother when we were younger. We were 5 years apart. We got along really well most of the time, but there were moments that I feel like I should have been sticking up for him when instead I was part of the problem. And I feel like it hurt him in a lot of ways and created emotions that he's held on to for a really long time. And if I could change that, I don't take blame for it. I don't think it's my place to carry that, but I would, if I could, I would definitely find a better way to be more supportive to my brother.
Wow. Should definitely tell him that.
I think I will.
Or just send him the song "I Should Live in Salt" by The National.
That's a good one.
I wish I would have leaned into myself like more too. I guess just be like confident that I'm me, because there's only one you, and no one really fucking cares. Everybody's so preoccupied with their thing. It doesn't really matter. Like, go talk to the girl. Go ask for the big ask. Like, you know, closed mouths don't get fed. Open your mouth. You know.
You know, when I first had the kids, they come out, and you're supposed to like hand them over to other people to help you, which makes a lot of sense. But like, it was strange for me to, you know, have help. And so I sort of bogarted that baby a lot, Nico. Even from Micah, from nannies, from family. And I wish that I had let go a little bit more. I wish that I had taken the help, because it's like a lot of work, and it's tiring and draining, and it's a marathon.
Tomorrow, you're 18. You have a grant to pursue whatever you want.
Oh boy. You know, when I was 18, I wanted to go to interior design school. I wanted to go to the Chicago Institute of Art and just lean into that. But then also like moving to New York and just finding, just getting on stage and doing something. Just 'cause I always loved dancing, but I also love singing. So I figured I'd be like in Broadway or some kind of performance art. So I think I would just be like, let's go into like get some voice lessons and like really lean into it. Yeah, I wish I would have followed my own dreams.
I that feels like it would become a rapid path to the life I'm leading now. It just took me a while. I found out what I like doing at 30. So I think what I would do at 18 is to try to find a professor, like I found later in life, to be an acolyte for in some sense. And that collaborating and taking a path to what I do now. I'd probably also maybe find some collaborators. I don't have that many of those at the moment.
So back when I worked at MySpace 15 years ago, where I met Micah, we were on a rocket ship, you know, in terms of a business. So popular, able to do whatever we wanted to do. Who's the Virgin guy?
Oh, Richard
Branson.
Branson?
Branson. It was him. He had just sort of like was like making waves around like consumer space travel. So I was like, we need to sell Dr. Pepper a trip to, you know, like a consumer trip to the moon, and you know, and attach MySpace to it. And so I'd always been like really interested in consumer travel into space, and I think that getting a 22, 23, 24 year head start on that would have been pretty amazing. I don't know if I had that, but if the world was my oyster and I had all the money, that's where I would put my money. Like that's where I put the gamble.
Great fucking answer.
When I was 18, my mom befriended a family that owned banks, and they came over and like I showed them all the stuff I was doing, and at that time I was making computer I was making video game levels back then, and I was making music, and I was making art, and I was making all kinds of stuff. And the guy was like real impressed with me. He made that offer to like put me in school wherever I wanted to go, wherever I could get in. So I thought I might go to CCS, which is in Detroit. It's a famous art school. At the end of the day, what I wound up doing was call him and I said, I don't want to go to school. Can you give me $1,000 so my band can record a demo tape? And he said, yes. Don't ever call me or ask me for anything ever again. And then we got signed right after that. So it was rad.
I love my job. I don't think I would do anything else. And as we've discussed, in terms of seeing what inherited money does to children, people think that if they didn't have to worry about money, life would be great. But it's not true. It actually turns out to be very dangerous, because human beings need a reason to wake up in the morning, get dressed, and go to work. It just makes people happier and healthier. And if I were 8, now you come up to a point in life where you can relax, but at 18 it would be really injurious. I graduated college, I graduated Georgetown with $250,000 in debt, and that felt crushing.
So maybe a check for $250,000.
Maybe, but I don't know if I would have worked as hard
Right,
if I
right.
didn't have the debt.
Yeah.
Because it becomes a very focusing thing.
Yeah.
I, for years, was the co-chair of the Georgetown recruiting team. So I hired people from Georgetown into JP Morgan. And people who came with no debt were all gone within a year. And people who had debt were all still there at the end of the 3-year program.
An insecurity you're willing to share.
I worry sometimes I'm a boring wife. I've got the job, I've got the kids, I've got all the things, you know? Like, it's one more thing that I feel like it's like a lot of balls in the air and you're like constantly juggling, you know? And obviously my relationship with Mike is very important to me and I wonder if I could be doing better.
Oh my god. Well, I can tell you, you are a kick-ass wife.
Oh, thank you.
It's so funny hearing you say that, because you never know what somebody's carrying around with them. I would have never, like, dared even assume you would think something like that, or some of the things other people have said. I'm just like, wait, what?
Really?
You think that?
Well, I think that like insecurities and vulnerabilities have less to do with how well you're doing something and more to do with how important that thing is to you. I like having a career, but I know that if it's not that job, it'll be another job. There's not a lot else that really keeps me up at night.
I've never been the most physically fit. I should be thinner, I should be stronger.
I have a lot of insecurities. I don't know though.
I know, it's like, okay, are you saying this?
Oh, okay, here's one. I feel like the way I talk is kind of boring sometimes. And that's part of the reason why I'm not so super stoked on this interview, because I don't really, like if I make gestures and I try to come out of my shell more, like I feel like it's not authentic to who I am. But I feel like when I tell stories to people, they just zone out because I just speak boring or like monotone, and I just don't feel like I bring a lot of excitement in a lot of ways. And I'm trying to figure out how I can connect with people differently so that the way I speak isn't boring.
It's so funny, I've said this so many times, like, I'm always like so surprised at what people say for this answer.
Really?
It's so funny what people are walking around with.
Yeah.
It's like, you what? Like, I would never consider that. I think that.
Do you not
and
think that?
I worry so much about when I talk in a group. I'm like, dude, I either get interrupted or people just drift out of what I'm saying like 90% of the time.
Why do you think that is?
Like, hard data.
Well, you think based on like your experience?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Entirely. Like, most people are just waiting for their chance to talk.
Oh, for sure.
And it's everybody wants to say like their interesting version of what the topic is.
Mhm.
I think fear of not being a good father, not raising quality human beings that turn out to be smart, career-driven, happy, content with their life, grounded, all the things that I want in human beings. And you know, you can see with other kids and young adults and parents how they've screwed it up, or their kids have turned out screwed up, and that'd probably be the greatest fear or insecurity.
I have a lot of insecurities. Like I'm talking too much about the things like that I'm into, or like I'm just oversharing information because like I'm real stoked about a lot of different things. Some ways insecure that I'm just like not leaving enough space for other people. I'm insecure about like being perceived as like a know-it-all, or like I'm self-absorbed. I try really hard to be humble and try really hard to just be like that's what flows through me. But yeah, my everything, man. My teeth are crooked. I'm like pretty fat for me right now. Hairy in weird places. Like my posture's weird. I'm flat-footed. Like I'm a goofy-looking guy in my opinion. So like I think about that all the time. I'm just like, yeah, I'm just like.
You're a beautiful son of a bitch.
Thanks, man.
Take it from me.
I guess I'm insecure about my my brain. I guess in a way, like feeling like I'm not smart enough, or I'm not I can't get deep enough.
It's funny, I don't feel it with Leanne, who's a doctor, which is odd.
Hmm.
But like, I mean, even with the
Yeah, I don't feel that with Randy.
upstairs, I'm just like, dude, I can't. I'm like, these guys are insane.
Hmm. But at the same time, like, that's what makes us special, you know, like, is because we have our own, we've got our own magic in here, and that's not our partners didn't pick us because
Yeah,
we're
I'm not like.
we're not the smart, and that's
Actual-
okay. Like, I'm smart in my own ways.
Yeah.
Like, we're the missing pieces, you know, like we complement each other in a way because they don't have the skills that we have, right? In some ways.
Sort of like that, you know. There's an instrument for everybody in the band.
Yeah.
They're just different instruments.
Hmm.
I just made that up.
I like that.
Who do you love the most and why?
I don't know if other parents have been able to answer that, but I can't answer that. I love my 3 children and my wife equally. They say the words in the service, but so many couples just don't take it seriously, right? For better or for worse, for richer, for poor, for sick or for healthier, as long as you both shall live. But if you take that seriously, that's really meaningful, right? This person has said, even when you're sick, I'll carry you. Even when you're weak, I'll carry you. And so I think that's special. My wife and I are both religious, and so I actually think God plays a role in that relationship. And then your kids are just, I mean, maybe your kid could do bad things that would make you not love them, but I think we're hard-coded biologically for millions of years to love our children. I don't want to say unconditionally, but pretty close to unconditionally. You don't have to work at it, it just happens.
Love is just such a large word, and there's so many ways to define it. But the love that you have for your children it's something else. Of course, my children, but of course, my favorite person is Micah. Without Micah, there would be no children. So it's easy to say my family, right? Like, the 3 of them are just fucking everything. I could be naked on an island with just the 3 of them and be cool.
My wife and my children, Diana, Nico, and Gia.
Oh, boy, I love Randy a heck of a lot. I tell him all the time he saved me. He was my knight in shining armor, and I really do believe that. He gave me the space to be myself. He broke down my my walls, and he showed me the tools and the way to do that. He showed me how I should be treated and what I deserve, and there's not enough love for that guy.
It's her. Like, she is that. She's got so much love, and she's such a beautiful person that, like, it amplifies your own love for yourself. Like, just for having her look at you and take care of you. It takes care of you too. So it's her for sure. Yeah.
This sounds funny, but there's like a form of primal love that I had with my dog, because that was the first instance where I really felt like some kind of deep bonding, and that's a different form of love, of course.
And I just put this question in here for you. How do you turn 100 grand into $1 million?
Should become my client.
There you go. The layers that have unfolded in each of my relationships to my friends as I watch these, it's just like falling in love with each friend again as I've gone through their interview, and I knew there would be some like emotionality to it and like some depth and richness, but I like it's been like profound. I didn't know that I could do this. I mean, like looking back now, it's kind of it's a fairly significant production. It's been like profound.